Hello, I'm BX2Cat and welcome back to another second channel video. Today I'm going to be starting a brand new series based around Hearthstone called Why Does It Suck? And I'm going to be, kind of breaking apart bad cards in Hearthstone, not just for the sake of, ripping on bad cards, but also to let you know why you shouldn't run those cards in your deck, what good alternatives there are, and also, to kind of teach you more about the game of Hearthstone in general. I think Ben Brode, one of the designers of Hearthstone, said one of the best ways to learn about Hearthstone is through these bad cards, and that's why I'm going to be doing this series. So, yeah, also because it's more fun to deconstruct cards than it is to actually construct them. And yeah, today's card isn't going to be the worst in the game, but it is one that actually is pretty bad, and that is the Windfury Harpy. So the Windfury Harpy is a card you can get from the classic set that basically, when you first get it, seems like it's a card that can do 8 damage to their face every turn, and if they leave it unattended for 4 turns, they'll be dead no matter what their health is. And although this is technically true, the reality behind the card isn't quite that at all, and I figured I'd talk about the exact reasons why that is in the video. So, yeah, basically, let's start with this whole it basically has 8 attack and 5 health thing, because, Windfury used to be valued by Blizzard developers as basically double attack, and the reasoning's kind of sound, because, like I mentioned, if it has 2 attacks a turn, surely you halve the attack, and that makes it fair. But it's not quite the case, because although, that double attack is true, and it basically does have 8 attack, that's only against other minions with 0 attack on them, and also the enemy's face. Against any other minion, or when another minion's attacking you, this is just a 4/5 creature as far as they are concerned. And that's why this card kind of sucks, because even in the best case scenario, if you assume that this card is just an 8/5, with, the capability of being double buff, because the big upside to Windfury that makes it maybe kind of worth those downsides would be that when you buff its attack, it kind of gets a double buff, because if you buff this card's attack by 4, instead of doing 8 damage a turn, it does 16, so it does 8 extra damage per turn. But the reason that sucks is because even if you conclude that Windfury is something that's good and that you want, 8/5 as a distribution of attack to health is just an awful way to do it. Usually, if there's attack stats distribute between a creature, so let's say a 4 mana creature usually has 9 points worth of stats to distribute. Usually, the best way to do it is to have slightly more on health and some on attacks. So that way, you can still hit heavily, but have enough health to stand up to attacks. Because if you get killed before you get to attack, because there is that 1 turn delay, then that card is useless. But if he survives with 1 health, that's actually pretty good. He can still do his damage, and that's pretty good. So the best way to distribute stats is to have 1 more, health than attack, and that's why cards like the Boulder Fist Ogre, also a 6-drop, you'll notice, are actually pretty good, because he's a 6/7. Whereas if you consider the Windfury Harpy is an 8/5, this means that any minion with 5 attack can kill him in 1 hit, and most 5s are like a 5/5 or a 5/6, so they'll survive. A 5-drop creature, a 5-mana creature, can take out your 6-drop and survive, and you'll have to do some sort of spell or something to take it out, and that's kind of awful. So, yeah, that's why this card kind of sucks, really, because Windfury, it's just overvalued by the Blizzard developers, because although it is double attack in some circumstances, and it is double attack buff, attack is definitely not as dominant as strength. A 5/8 creature would be just as good as I'd say better than a 8/5, and a 6/7 is the best way to do it. Whereas, so if this creature had been a 3/6 with Windfury, maybe that would have been something, because, the buff factor's still there, but it can't be taken out quite as easy by enemies. But instead, no, it's a 4/5, and, that just kind of assumes that Windfury makes it have double the value, and that's not true at all. If you think about, a lot of your trades, then they're not going to have anything to do with the Windfury, and that's why this is terrible. So, basically, this card is terrible in most situations, because for this card to work out, you need to have a taunt on the board already. You need to play this card down, make sure it doesn't get silenced, because if it gets silenced, it's a worthless 4/5. Make sure that you have some form of buff in your hand to buff it next turn, and you've got to make sure that you can actually, last, and this card can do it, and probably it's not going to kill in 1 turn, it's going to kill in 2. This can be a win condition, it can be a fast way to take them out, but the reality behind the situation is there's so many little setups needed that you won't do it. So, one situation I can think of is if you're playing Warrior, you need to have a Sludge Belcher, a really strong taunt on 5 that basically protects your whole board. Make sure they don't have any way to hard remove, which most classes have some form of hard removal, or make sure they've used it up. Then on turn 6, play this card, and then on turn 7, or really on turn 6 actually, I guess, or like turn 8 or something, you can play this card of Charge, play something that gives this card a big attack bonus, and then go for the face a few times, and then hope to win the game, because you've just got to really hope this card doesn't get taken out, and that's so tricky. Playing cards to buff this card, while also playing cards to protect it, really, there are so many cards that can win the game with that fashion. That's the problem here. Like, this card can be substituted by so many others. Like, if you think about the Boulder Fist Ogre, like I mentioned, he has 2 less attack in optimal situations, but 2 more health. And, you know, although he's not getting buffed double as much, he's going to be able to take these hits. He doesn't have to be protected because he is his own protection, and that's why the Windfury Harpy sucks. It's a 6-drop that is just undervalued for the cost. If this was a 6/5 for 6 with Windfury, that I don't know if that would be worth playing, but, you know, it's got to have some value in the situations where Windfury isn't helping it, which is against minions, for that Windfury to be worth double, and that's just not the case. So, a lot of cards of Windfury, there's a Shaman one that costs 1, I think it's called the Dust Devil, that also sucks. Basically, cards with Windfury, they need to be valued with the Windfury as a bonus, not as the Windfury as being part of their stats, or it kind of sucks. So, yeah, this was my why it sucks based on the Windfury Harpy. I didn't have as much to say about it as I did about, I think it was Major Dormer. Wait, let me just turn off this card. Yeah, Major Dormer Executus was a horrendous legendary, but, you know, this card is just bad for basic... Oh, the Wisp now. The Windfury Harpy is bad for quite a few basic reasons, and hopefully you learned something from those. So, being able to trade with other minions, well, is good. Even if you want to go the face, you want to have some health to protect yourself, and Windfury needs to have cards to buff his attack to even be considered good. And just all those things combined with the bad stat distribution and nothing else going on here, and the poor silenceness of this card, wouldn't recommend playing it. So, that's my opinion on this card. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I'll see you all in another video. So, goodbye. Let me know what you thought of the series. This is like a pilot. Oh, the next one will be better. Or worse. One of the two.